You're listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, the place to learn about new technology and technological advances before they become mainstream. This podcast is sponsored by Panduit, infrastructure for a connected world. Let's get into it.
Welcome to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. I'm your host, Keri Roberts, and my guest today is Jeff Paliga, the Director of Business Development at Panduit. Welcome to the show, Jeff. Excited to have you here today.
Thanks, Keri. Very excited to be here. Anytime I get a chance to learn and share some great information with everybody, it's a great opportunity. So thanks for having me.
Yes. And I was doing some research on you. I saw that you've been with Panduit for about 25 years. And that says quite a lot about you and the company in a really positive light. Can you share with us a little bit about who Panduit is and why you've been so loyal and passionate about this company for so long?
Yes. Well, thanks for asking, because I'm not sure if that's, so common nowadays, but there's a lot of great things behind it. So first and foremost, Panduit is a privately held company with about 60 years of innovation from about 5,000 employees worldwide. And those employees are providing solutions for industrial electrical infrastructure, which covers things from OEM to industrial construction to MRO markets, all the way over to network infrastructure solutions, which cover things like data centers, enterprise networks, industrial networks, and audio-video solutions. So we've been servicing about 90% of the Fortune top 100 companies for years. And we also have a long-standing relationship with all 10 of the 10 top Forbes organizations around the world. So we're very proud about that. On a professional, personal note, what keeps me going, and really it's a tribute to Panduit. What's really amazing is Panduit's ability to persevere through all types of economic conditions. We have a very diversified portfolio set of products, services, and software. And there's also a huge ability to operate really successfully, and I mean globally, meaning we have presence of people, tech support, manufacturing capabilities around the world to service our customers. And through that, there's also a long-standing partnerships. We feel pretty capable as a company. We're very vertically integrated, very proud of that. But we realize we can't do everything on our own or be the best at everything. So we have a very strong eco-partnership with delivery and deployment partners as well as alliance partners. And then lastly, it's really about the global workforce. The people at Panduit are extremely dedicated and committed and driven to improve and drive change. So there's a lot there over that number of years to see things grow and change and innovate. It's never a dull moment, I guess, is how I would kind of shortly answer that question.
Yeah, no, I think that's tremendous to hear. And your company recently worked with a client to unify the information and communication technology, or the ICT, physical infrastructure to ensure business continuity and create a robust design capable of lasting for 30 or more years. Can you tell us who the company was and your process in solving their problem and what the results were?
Yes, absolutely. So first and foremost, Keri, I really like the way you phrased that question when you said we worked with a client or work with a customer, because that's truly where Panduit accelerates in this space. We look to build long-term relationships. We look to get to the core of the problem and solution and provide those results in the end. So in this particular example, the customer was CenterPoint Energy. And they are based in, for those that don't know, they're headquartered in Houston, Texas. And their business model is they provide energy solutions, both electrical and natural gas, to literally millions and millions of customers. And they've been doing this for over 135 years, basically. So when you think about the environment that they work in and live in, the amount of infrastructure that they own is literally thousands and thousands of miles of infrastructure, a huge amount of capacity. So what really came about is they had a list of challenges, several, but we got it down to a handful. And they were really after looking how they could better standardize and drive better business continuity and have a robust design. And so standardization meant for them, they're very diversified and they're growing. And as I said, they service a lot of customers in a lot of different areas. So they were looking for things such as unification on platforms because they work across all their business units. So they have a number of functions that need to monitor and secure their operations and look at their capacity. Of course, being in the energy business, you have to have business continuity. So they're looking for reliable and resilient infrastructure. And then the piece you mentioned, that 30-year infrastructure, so that's part of the robust design. And that's a big part of how we sat down and start working on this opportunity. So the process that you asked about really is not too uncommon. It really started off as sort of a single request for a product. Again, we have a huge portfolio of products, so there's a single request for a product. And it turned quickly into really understanding and driving more dialogue around their entire set of objectives, right? The ones that I just previously listed. So it was more than just give me feeds and speeds on a particular product. We start getting into what their business needs were, their long-term challenges, And we get this quite a bit at Panduit. Maybe following up on this is a lot of people really don't know the breadth of what we can provide, right? We're sort of our best kept secret. So things turned into our services team got engaged. We did some peer reviews. Through that, we shared some best practices. Again, and this all started off as a single product look. And then we started doing things like proof of concepts. And ultimately, what we deployed was a full solution. And full solution, layer one solution for Panduit in this case, were things like fiber and copper cabling solutions that were capable to go beyond 100 gig at the time, redundant pathways, smart PDUs, cooling optimization, grounding and bonding, and a level of intelligence where we can go in and actually monitor where assets and secure things and confirm things were located. So in the end, after putting all that out, again, this was a lot of back and forth, a lot of what some companies might not realize Panduit can get engaged that depth across the entire life cycle. What came out of it were results where, full comprehensive solution that great on day one. But as I said, this is a very dynamic customer, a very dynamic environment, but we gave them the ability to scale for future use and as seamlessly as possible, right? There's a lot of moving pieces here, but we were able to look at this because of that process I described and being very involved very early on. They got a very comprehensive solution that could scale. And then ultimately, when you look at the operational side, we provide the customer the ability to accurately look and drive deeper, give them better visibility into their operations, which really drives down their operational expenditures. So yes, there's always a capital expenditure on a new project, but really what lasts with the customer and the cost for efficiencies on the operational side. So that's what we actually deployed in the long run through that entire process.
Is it possible with technology moving so quickly, like I feel like every year there's something new to try to keep up with, that you can create a robust design that can last for 30 or more years?
So 30 years is very ambitious, and maybe it's because the utility sector, right? The section that has to be very reliable and resilient. So ability to adopt new technologies is tough for a lot of people in a lot of different vertical markets. 30 years is very ambitious. What I will say, in some segments we deal with verticals, they change a lot quicker, but they still have a similar intent, is trying to extend that infrastructure spend and turn that investment into a longer term payback, right? They don't want to turn that over year after year. So what we do at Panduit is we like to have those discussions and talk about what we've learned, best practices. So for us, layer one is sort of agnostic in a sense, meaning we can tie and connect and interlink almost any type of technology that's out there, but yet, as we said, their customers don't know exactly what's coming next. So what we try to do is provision for the next step. And that could be things looking at, for example, a fiber optic backbone or the infrastructure you would put in today where, yes, you could probably go with an inferior solution today that might save some money up front. But as you just indicated, things are going to change. Our customers don't know exactly what that looks like. They don't know what type of applications they're going to run. They don't know what their business requirements are going to be. They don't know if they're going to acquire some new companies and what they're going to inherit. So what we like to talk to customers about is take that look long-term, all the way down to layer one infrastructure. And we've built some solutions where you can change things out on capacity, whether it's power capacity inside a data center cabinet, or looking at the fiber infrastructure where maybe today they're only using 10 or 40 gig service. But as we know, as history repeats itself, we have customers looking at 100, deploying 400 with an eye on 800 gig. So Panduit's built some product infrastructure that's modular, it can scale. It can start off day one providing those values. And as things change, as networks change, as you said, technologies change, we can change or have some seamless changes on the end of the network that'll help them move to the next generation without what we kind of call a rip and replace that physical infrastructure. It's very disruptive to come back in and rip out infrastructure. The analogy I like to use, if you think about your home or where you live, there's a lot of power and there's a lot of cable infrastructure behind your walls. Could you imagine having to rip that out every time a new TV came on board or a new phone or new technology? So that's the type of infrastructure analogy we use, is let's provision as best as possible for the next 2 or 3 generations of technology and make it as seamless as possible for our customers.
No, I love that you're talking strategy and really looking at this long term. And your company is also helping to enable real-time response for IoT. And we have quite a big focus on IoT here at Ingram. And I'd love for you to tell us how edge computing may be the best choice when it comes to helping businesses deploy IoT technology, and maybe define it for those that don't know what it is and how it differs from the cloud.
Oh, Keri, that's sort of a loaded question. It's a great question, but that can go in many different directions. But it's a very popular one. So IoT or IoE, Internet of Everything, or as you indicated, Edge and Panduit, if you will, it's such a great fit. Because when you look at IoT, IoE, Edge, that's really the interconnection of things, of people, applications to data, right? And that's really at the core of Panduit's offering because of the breadth of what we provide. As I mentioned, a lot of our infrastructure is agnostic. It's compatible with lots of technologies in a lot of different environments. So as far as the definition on edge, though, no one really knows exactly what that is or what it's going to look like. We have a position on it. We have some solutions around that. But really, anytime there's an application that's going to need computing, somehow located where the data and the users are or they consume it, and they need a high quality performance, edge will be there, right? It's going to take on a lot of different shapes and formats, but that's really at the core of what we see. And so along with that, edge is not going to have a single instance. There's going to be a lot of different types of deployments. As I said, the definition is a little tough to put down. But with that, we think there's some common challenges that customers are going to have and partners that we can help with. And it's really basically 4 things: consistency, reliability, security, and remote management. Again, whatever shape IoT takes or edge takes, there's going to be some challenges inside there. But what sits at the core to make that all happen is this robust network infrastructure. And what we see is that infrastructure is going to be deployed with some traditional methods and some non-traditional methods. Again, it's very undefined and cutting edge. So when we look at things like IoT and edge and cloud and et cetera, again, not a one-size-fits-all, not a complete holistic definition. And I would like to say, we don't think these technologies are going to compete or replace each other. Rather, they're going to complement each other, which would kind of make sense. So when you see customers and talk to customers about where they're going and what their IT strategies look like, you're probably hearing a lot more about hybrid IT, right? And that's a constant mix, and will continue to be customers having the ability or the options today to utilize a dynamic, I would say, best-in-class approach to deliver the business value. So what used to be on-premise and owner-operated kind of moved to an off-prem, to a cloud, to edge, to IoT. So there's challenges there and there's opportunities, and it's going to be very dynamic. So I think it's going to be a balance of all that under this large umbrella called hybrid IT. So again, IoT and edge and cloud and things like 5G are going to complement each other. It's this ubiquitous connectivity, which is really going to drive a lot of the future technology.
Real quick, before we jump straight back into the episode today, we want to tell you about Ingram Micro Financial Solutions and how you can maximize your buying power and get to yes with your customers faster. For the last 9 years, Ingram Micro has been Channel Pro's reader's choice for best financing options. Put the power of our credit and leasing options to work for you. You can easily contact Financial Solutions at ingrammicro.com. All right, let's get back to the show.
And one of the other things that I think is really great about your company is that your brand is all about innovation. And for those that don't know, your company has a 250,000 square foot research and development building with 18 laboratories. I want to know more because I saw that. I was like, that's so exciting. What kind of experimentation goes on there? And can you share with us some of the successes that have come out of it?
I can, and I'd be happy to, Keri. Thanks for asking that. It kind of goes to the earlier comment I made. Sometimes customers and partners don't know everything that Panduit provides. So first and foremost, absolutely, the next time you're in Chicago, open invitation to come visit, as well as those on the call today and listening to the
field trip,
field trip, if you will. And I would suggest, as things change, pick a warm month. It gets a little colder in Chicago, but pick a nice month, June, July, or August, to come on up. But yes, this facility, it's a very big icon for us. So inside that lab, and you're right, we are built on innovation, and we pride ourselves on what we do there. So inside that lab, inside that facility, there's the 18 labs you talk about. So we're looking at technologies, things like Wi-Fi and optical fiber and copper structured cabling, thermal dynamics, audio, video, power, industrial automation. Again, maybe the theme here is these are things maybe customers and partners don't know that Panduit's well-versed in. When I say well-versed, again, it's not having just the product catalogs. It's that inherent knowledge, that subject matter expertise on these topics that we really try to drive down to what the applications are and what the customer challenges are, right? It's just not about creating feeds and speeds on a product set and building out a big product catalog. We're really driving ourselves to solve these problems. So these labs absolutely do that. They give us that capability to have the credibility in the market, a better understanding where things are going, and more importantly, we're really trying to drive the quantification of why Panduit's better, what the innovation is. So in twofold, we use those labs in combination. One, obviously, we want to develop and continue to develop world-class products through our product development team. So products like today, the 400 gig for fiber optics and beyond, we've got a world-class fiber lab there that folks can come see and are just amazed after they take the tour. And then secondly, outside of developing the products, we do a lot for our customers. We look at customer environments. We can recreate customer environments. We can do proof of concepts there. As you mentioned, it's a large facility, a lot of capabilities. So we use it for our own product development, but we also have it for our partners and customers to come in and prove out what their environments look like and run some POCs if that's necessary.
How do you choose what type of things you want to innovate on? Is there like a committee that does it? Can potential clients give something that they want to test? How do you do that?
Yeah, so it's wide ranging because, as I said, there's 5,000 Panduit employees, and those are direct employees, and then our ecosystem, grows in magnitude out of there. So a lot of our best ideas have actually come from firsthand discussions with our customers and partners, right? We do a lot of third-party market research, but when we get down to the primary, and we have teams, we have product management teams, engineering teams, R&D teams, business development teams, we're gathering a lot of this information from all different points of the world. And we look to kind of consolidate that and look for common themes inside there. So things can get kicked off from customers and partners. We also have a lot of formal teams and committees inside there looking at new big ideas, big bets, if you will, where things are heading. And we have a lot of, as you said, committees and groups that look at that, assess that, build business cases and justification to move forward. So it can come from a large range of topics. But again, at the end, we want to make sure what we develop and we bring to the market is solving a problem that we can quantify and differentiate on.
Now, you had said a few times that your company has a lot of things that many people aren't aware of. Is there anything else that you're really excited about that your company provides that you want to share with us?
Well, I think it's interesting. I sort of use this term. It's good news, bad news, or it's a curse, it's a blessing. I think the main thing, just in a general term, is having folks understand just really the breadth of what Panduit provides. We have a lot of customers that might know us for a couple of product categories, or partners that know us for one piece of our business. When you really dig into what we provide, we hear this all the time, especially folks that come up to our center here in Chicago that we just talked about. They walk away with a whole new perspective about the capabilities, the in-depth knowledge, not just the products, but the software, the services, the best practices we could share back and forth. So it'd be really hard to kind of pick one area, but in a macro term, I think there's obviously a lot more when you peel back the covers and you see what's involved there and what Panduit provides. There's a lot more than people are aware of, and it's refreshing because we're never at a shortage of putting new things out there. And it's also great enlightening customers. And like you said, not just new customers and partners. Some of our longstanding customers are they tell us a lot of time, I didn't know you really had that, or that's amazing, you're working on that. So just in general, maybe have everyone take a look and see really what Panduit's all about, as opposed to maybe just one or two products that they might know.
Yeah, innovation is definitely the word I would use from the research I've done about your company. The one question we ask all of our guests on this show, and it can be in terms of what we're talking about or as a whole, is where do you see technology going within the next year?
Wow. Okay. So without the crystal ball, I guess my initial response would be and based on my history and the company's history and the segments we serve and where things are going, we certainly see growth. First and foremost, there is a growth in so many different areas. And the reason I think that's driving that is if you just look around at the number of applications, right? Business applications, personal applications, certain vertical market applications, there's no shortage of application growth. So from that, becomes a tremendous amount of data, whether it's generated or consumed or both. So you have these applications driving data generation and consumption, and then naturally behind that, there's infrastructure to support that. So there's spending going on in many different areas, in areas like 5G, Edge we talked about, IoT, data centers across the board. Infrastructure is being put together to support these application growths. Now, this sort of goes back to a question you maybe asked earlier about technology, and it definitely has an omnipresence of growing, right? So we've seen network speeds nowhere near slow down. We've seen them from 1 gig to 10 gig to 40 to 100, 400, 800 gig, as I mentioned before, and history repeats itself. So whatever technology is going to ride on that, we're seeing the demand for these increased network speeds a lot faster than we have in the past, shrinking it down from multiple years down to, a couple years for the adoption rate. So really, if you're thinking about anything with an IP address being connected, the expectation is somewhere around 50 billion devices being connected, right? In one way, shape, or another. So these devices are going to talk. And at the core of it, regardless of what technology infrastructure it puts in, I think this intelligence throughout. So some level of intelligence, whether it's machine-to-machine learning or big data or data analytics or IA or autonomous anything, I think IT ops groups are going to be looking at power and capacity all the way down to their own infrastructure. So the technologies are driving this. I think this intelligent piece, no matter if it's consumer data or how you manage and operate your IT facility, your data center facility, some level of visibility, monitoring capability, and intelligence is going to sit at the core of regardless of what technology comes out in the next 12 to 24 months.
Now, you've talked a lot about innovation and IoT here. If people have questions about what we talked about today or your company, or they want to connect with you, where is the best place to do that?
Okay, so probably the most obvious is going to be to our website, panduit.com. And in there, you'll see all our product solutions, our offerings put in by vertical market, by product type. It's a great place to start. There's some support tools inside there. Additionally, as the audience goes forward, one of the best things we found is reaching out to your local Panduit contact. As I mentioned, we are a formidable team. We have great global presence. It's be a great way to start if something piques your interest on the website. We're very accessible literally around the world. And that's a great way to get started on learning more around any product solution or offering we had, and or get that invitation to come back to the Innovation Center in Chicago here and actually see things firsthand.
Is there a way for people to get in contact with the company if they're interested in being part of this innovation lab? You know, obviously that's a different place that you hire, but I think you all are doing some incredible things. If somebody says, oh, I'd love to be a part of that or work there, where could they learn more about that?
Yeah, so you're talking about joining Panduit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I would point them to our website, and inside there we have a full listing of our capabilities, open postings, things of that nature. It's very comprehensive, and it'll guide you to the right source as needed.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jeff, for sharing your insight and your passion. And I look forward to hearing more what you all do in the future.
Thank you, Keri. Appreciate the time.
If you like this episode or have a question, join the discussion on Twitter at Ingram TechSol with the hashtag B2B Tech Talk. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro.
You've been listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, hosted by Keri Roberts. This episode was sponsored by Panduit. B2B Tech Talk is a joint production with Sweetfish Media and Ingram Micro. Ingram Micro production handled by Laura Burton and Christine Fan. To not miss an episode, subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform.